US President Donald Trump left the NATO summit feeling warmer towards the transatlantic bloc after months of criticizing European allies over security commitments. Trump says his views changed after NATO leaders showed they take defense spending seriously by agreeing to commit 5% of GDP to the sector. But this gathering in the Netherlands was tailored for the American president, some analysts argue, designed around brevity, flattery towards Donald Trump, and the sidestepping of touchier subjects like Ukraine. But even as Europe celebrates keeping Trump on board, the continent's leaders could have a difficult time convincing the public that a big defense spending push is necessary. As I mentioned, this as NATO allies agree to hike defense spending by 5%. Just listen in to the US president's remarks.
In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it." Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate. When the allies reach this number, it will add more than $1 trillion a year. Think of that, $1 trillion per year to our common defense. And this is a monument really to victory, but it's a monumental win for the United States.
And for further clarity, we have with us Glen Carle, former Deputy National Intelligence Officer for Transnational Threats, also the National Intelligence Council, former officer from the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. Mr. Carle, always a pleasure to have you on NDTV. Thank you so much for your time. Let's just start with the optics and the outcome. Was this 5% pledge a genuine strategic shift by NATO, or would you argue that it's largely political theater designed to appease the US president?
Well, the theater is significant, actually, because that's the way to win favor and support from Donald Trump. I mean, I think the lesson of the past decade is that all of us involved in international relations and politics in the United States, anyway, need to be psychologists rather than political scientists first, and to know how to manage a mercurial defensive personality. So I'm not being facetious. The theater was led to substance, but it is a significant change to go from 2% or haltingly 2% of GDP for NATO members to 5 is an historic change. Now, would that have happened had Russia not tried to gobble up Central Europe? No. But it also would not have happened if you had someone who was not as mercurial and demanding as Donald Trump, and clearly willing to walk away from NATO unless NATO changed. So those two things have led to an historic day, yes.
Right. So on that note, then, you've seen how intelligence aligns with policy. From your perspective, is this 5% hike grounded in real threat assessments, Russia, Iran, or even China, or is this about recalibrating alliance dynamics in an age of US unpredictability?
Well, I think both statements are true. Both aspects are real and significant. It is pretty clear. I would agree with the general assessment that the United States cannot be counted on as uniformly as prior to Donald Trump's emergence in the national scene in the United States. Also, it's certainly Russia has been made pretty clear about its refusal to see the westernization of Central Europe, and it's invaded a country and tried to destroy it in order to stop that from happening. So those are real threats. Now, the issue from China and defense issues from relevant to NATO, that's also real, but obviously that's on the other side of the earth and is not directly an existential issue. The trade issues and economic ones are the primary issue for Europe with regard to China, but it's not irrelevant. Certainly, no. So substance, yes, and also standing up without having to lean on the United States. Both things are actually happening.
Indeed. Always a pleasure to have you on NDTV, as I mentioned, Mr. Carle. We look forward to keeping a close eye on the key developments with you. Thank you so much for your time.